All right. I want to share my story with you guys as far as H. pylori goes. So pretty much back in 2020 is when I got diagnosed. But about, I don't know, 6 months before that is when I think I got it. I was in Panama, um, ate some uncooked food or not thoroughly cooked food. And I had food poisoning for about, I don't know, 6 days, a week and a half, something like that. Fast forward back to 2020 and beginning of 2020, I ended up getting getting this pain in my side, and then I started getting these headaches when I woke up. And after a few months, I started coughing up blood, or I started coughing up some stuff. And I remember I went out with my buddy Hector and for his stepfather's birthday. We drank some whiskey, and the next morning I woke up, I coughed up some blood. So I'm like, shit, I gotta go talk to the doctor. So I talked to the doctor, I seen him, and he tested me. He's like, you got H. pylori. I'm like, okay, whatever. He's like, here, take these antibiotics, and we'll take it from there. Never said take prebiotics, never said anything else. Just said just that. So I did all this, what anybody else would do, and I did what the doctor said. He didn't warn me about anything. He didn't say, hey, you're gonna feel like this, or you should take probiotics, or this is what's gonna happen. He just said, take this and call me later. So the first day I took them, I literally felt this impending doom. I just felt like death. I was with my girlfriend, and we were we just got to a friend's house to eat, and I just literally felt like this impending doom, like death, like something is really, really wrong. Mind you, for months before that, because that was probably in May, June of 2020, but the whole March, April, May, I was feeling the symptoms of for like 3 months before I got the diagnosis, of like feeling this anxiety, feeling like I'd be riding on my bike, riding down the road. My buddies were all on our Harleys and stuff riding, and I'm just feeling like, I just felt like really sad and really just anxious in this anxious pit. Like, I'm just like, what the hell? I'm out here with my buddies. I got nothing to worry about, and I'm just like losing my crap. So I'm like, what's going on? But I did eventually get my diagnosis. So I know I'm bouncing around. I'm still this is probably part one. Hopefully I get a part two where it's a success story and what I did and stuff. But this is gonna have a mixture of what I've done as well in it. I ended up taking the antibiotics in May. Yeah, it was May, because I wasn't feeling good in May, June. And I ended up, my sleep problem, that's what it was. I was going through my sleep stuff. Before the diagnosis, I started waking up with little headaches and then coughing blood. And then I started waking up with headaches, and after the diagnosis, the headaches continued. And then as soon as, shortly after taking antibiotics, I started waking up gasping and heart pounding, like this like unbelievable feeling, like just wake up in the middle of the night between midnight and 3 o'clock, and I just be like choking, like gasping. And I'm like, I talked to my gastro, and he's like, it sounds like you have sleep apnea. I'm like, sleep apnea? I've never had sleep issues before. I was like, I've never had sleep issues. I'm like, what are the chances I get it when I get H. pylori? I'm like, something is going on. I'm like, I'm waking up. My girlfriend says I don't even snore. Like, and I never had this issue before. I used to wake up early and go to work and go to the gym before. So he says that. We do a sleep study. I do one with my pulmonologist. He says it's he says, it looks like GERD. We did one of those at-home sleep studies. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm like, maybe it's just a study. So he goes over it. Then we do a lung test. We do heart test. I mean, I've done so many tests. We did the lung test, which came back fine. And I'm not talking about the breath test. Do a lung test, a functional lung test, see how much capacity and if you have any issues there. And then I've done, then after I kept complaining, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. My heart's pounding, racing. So we did a heart monitor. You wear it for 24 hours. That came back fine. Then we did an ultrasound on my heart. He said my heart was enlarged, slightly. One of the valves I think was enlarged, and this is at the peak of me having these symptoms. These wake up in the night, gasping, choking, feeling. You know, and I had unbelievable reflux issues going on then. Stomach was a mess. So did all those tests. What else did we do? So the doctor said, go get another sleep test. So he referred me to my gastro. My gastro set up a sleep test, and we did it, and it came back, you have 15 apneas an hour or something like that. Like, okay, that's weird. I've never had this issue before, and I'm waking up way more panicky than anybody. I talk to people with sleep apnea, and I'm waking up way more panicky than any of these people, and I'm tired now, and I'm out of it. I'm irritable. This is all ever after H. pylori. I've never had these issues before. So, you know, so then they say, oh, it looks like sleep apnea. So then I get a machine. It's called a CPAP. You have to sleep with a mask on you. So I sleep with that mask probably 3 months. I probably wore it about 80% of the time. It's a pain in the ass and it's stupid. But even after wearing it, I still had these issues where I'd wake up in the middle of the night panicking and with the mask on and off. And then the numbers, because it gives you a reading if you did a good job with it. And I wore it and it said, you know, you get 0 to 100. 100 is perfect. I get 80s, 90s, 100. Sometimes I get 70, but I get it and it would say, yeah, you did good. So I'm like, all right. I'm completely lost for words. Why am I still waking up like this? And I'm waking up exhausted, tired, and brain fog. Obviously, this is during COVID and stuff, and I did get COVID during Christmas of 2020, which was, I lost my taste and stuff like that. But I ended up, you know, calling the company who owns a CPAP or runs a CPAP, and I asked them, like, hey, is there any issues with this? Why am I having these issues? And they're like, no, your numbers look good. Like, it might be, I don't know, maybe you're having panic attacks. Like, maybe, I don't know what's going on. So I wanted to make sure, and I had set up an ENT appointment, an ears, nose, and throat doctor, before even calling the CPAP company. So I went and seen an ears, nose, and throat doctor, seen 3 of them. And the third one, they all said, oh, you looked a little inflamed, but, you know, tonsils and you know, your opening in your mouth, because that's where sleep apnea comes. Your the inside of your mouth is loose or in here, and it collapses when you fall asleep, and that's what causes snoring, causes air to stop moving in your lungs or whatever. So you just literally suffocate yourself in your sleep. So that's what they were thinking. So I seen one ears, nose, and throat doctor, and that was this 2 Decembers ago, so about 13 months ago. And actually it was like 15 months, but then he's like, oh, I can see you in 2 months. I'm 100% sure I can, or I'm 100% sure I can cure you of your sleep apnea, pretty much. He says 80% sure. I'm 80% sure I can 100% cure your sleep apnea. Those are his exact words. I'm like, all right, that sounds pretty good, you know. And I'm like, he sounded pretty confident. So I'm like, okay. So mind you, I know in the back of my mind that these guys are making decent money, and that's what they do. But I believed him, and I even spoke with his secretary. And she's like, yeah, everyone that sees him, and if he says he can do it, he can do it. So I did the surgery. It was 12 and a half months ago in December of 2021. And they cut out my tonsils, adenoids, septum, and did this whole surgery. And I ended up, waking up all blood, all this stuff, and they gave me all these pills, painkillers and stuff. I woke up, I had to eat pudding for an entire month, and I ended up recovering a month later. Mind you, when that was all done, I was so heavily sedated on other stuff, I wasn't really having those big issues. I can't really remember that much. I was so messed up on drugs. But I did take notice that one of the things that slightly went away was, I don't know if this was COVID related, because I know some other people have dealt with this. As I would fall asleep, like literally as you doze off, you'd be like, you get woken awake in this extreme panic. Like, you say you're tired and you're on the couch and you just pass out like this, you just wake up in this extreme panic, heart racing, all that stuff. And there was a lot of people I know that were dealing with that from COVID. So anyway, I noticed around that time is where that kind of went away. But I got better, and then it was like I healed, and so I started going to sleep normally. Normally meaning I went back to my bed, and rather than sleeping on the couch. And I remember just I remember within a couple of days I was back to like waking up, like sleeping like that, waking up like choking and this panic and stress and all this stuff. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? I called the doctor. He says, hey, the surgery went good. He's like, it sounds like you're having panic attacks. Why don't you come in? So I go in and I see him. He checks my insides. He's like, you're wide open. And mind you, none of this stuff had happened none of this stuff happened to me. I never had these issues until H. pylori. And there's a connection that I make with this later on. But so I was just lost of words. I was honestly depressed, anxious, worried. I have a daughter, and at the time I had a girlfriend, and she had her two girls, and it was a lot to just be there on standby and not be able to be there for anybody, and just not know what's going on with my health, not knowing who I am. As all this stuff is going on, H. pylori, and while all that was going on, I wasn't sure what it was. I was thinking maybe COVID or something. I wasn't thinking H. pylori, because I didn't. The biggest thing that helped me was going on Reddit. Recently I just went on, I went on Reddit only like 5 months ago, and that's when I made the connections with that and made a friend in Texas who's dealing with the same stuff. But I had real bad issues with this, because I was looking in the wrong direction. I had nothing to go off of, and I was really at a sad spot. So I ended up, what did I do? When I went and seen him, he said it was panic attacks. And then, I was really kind of depressed. I didn't know what was going on. So then he schedules another sleep study. Do a sleep study. They don't even say anything about sleep apnea. They say it looks like narcolepsy. They didn't say I have narcolepsy. They say I have something that could be. I have potential for narcoleptic tendencies. Means I'm not even close to it right now, but I'm like, thinking to myself, like, what the heck is going on? What did this H. pylori do? Or I didn't think H. pylori then. I'm just thinking, like, what the hell's wrong with me? So then, fast forward, I was depressed. I ended up doing a ayahuasca ceremony, which is something I always wanted to do. And I thought that would help with, maybe I was just having panic attacks or depression or what was causing this stuff. So I came back from that. That was a whole nother experience. That was really helpful, but it did not fix me. I was in a way better mood. I felt really good, but I was still struggling with this daytime fatigue, tired, sleep issue, this panic attacks, all this stuff. So I'm like, what the hell? And then I just wrote it out for a couple months, trying to get answers, going to different doctors. So at this point, I'm going through this stuff for over a year and a half, I think. And then 1, 2, yeah, like 2 years now. And then it came this April, was like I seen a thing to go to an ayahuasca retreat in Peru in the Amazon. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go big, and I'm gonna see if I can get some answers there. So I ended up doing 4 ceremonies of ayahuasca. You have to look it up if I know it's a little off subject, but it's better to tell the whole story. So I ended up going to the ceremonies, doing all this stuff there. I wasn't having any of the sleep issues there. You have to eat good. You have to eat really healthy. You have to eat gluten-free, dairy-free, a whole bunch of things you're not supposed to do before and after the ceremony. No sugars, no salts, no processed food whatsoever. Pretty organic diet. 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after, and for the 2 weeks while you're there, you're eating it's pretty much vegan while you're there. So that was on a good diet. So then I did that whole retreat, and then I go to Cusco, which is in Peru, but it's up in the mountains. My retreat was in the jungle for 2 weeks, but then I go up to Cusco for a few days to just catch up with some friends and just, relax for a little bit. So while I was there, like an idiot, I ate ceviche. Now that's the same thing that I ate when I was in Panama, when I got food poisoning before, in 2019 or whatever it was, and then I started having the stomach pains, etc. But I ate that there, and then it was within 10 hours, I was back at the hostel, and I was just, or Airbnb, I was throwing up, puking every direction, just completely wiping myself out. And I've just been, I spent probably a good 4 days, 5 days doing that, and I almost had to go to the hospital. There we go. Fix that. This thing leaned up. So, yeah, so I thought I was going to go to the hospital. I ended up not. I threw up everything I had. I ended up leaving there, and then I go to the airport. And the whole time on the airport, I'm watching my watch, and I'm flying from Cusco to Lima, and I'm looking at my watch. I'm thinking like, damn. I'm looking at my heart rate because I'm wearing, I have an Apple Watch, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna die. And I'm like, I'm gonna have a heart attack. Like, I'm just watching my thing the whole time, and that was a big theme for me in the Amazon too. Was, I'm looking at my heart rate, overlooking at everything, overthinking everything, and I just remember seeing 140 beats per minute, and my palms started getting sweaty, and I'm over here yelling at the airport, the flight attendants, and swearing at them, saying, hey, you gotta get a doctor. And then they literally had no doctors in the airport. So I'm just like, oh shit, this is it. I'm gonna fucking die here. So they all came over around me, and then they said the same thing. They're like, you're having a panic attack. So I'm like, what the frig, and just like it took about a good 20 minutes for them to get a doctor to there. But I just had a complete lose my shit. So anyway, fast forward now. I got back home. I ended up getting on the airplane. I got back home to Massachusetts, and I spent probably 2 weeks of waking up. I changed everything up. I was just committed to what I was doing. I started taking probiotics, 30 billion per day, taking that once a day. I started taking a prebiotic, and I started working out. I started working again, actually. I started working again, and then I started working out. I started doing CrossFit, with a buddy of mine, and I'd say about two weeks. Within 2 weeks, I started feeling normal again. I was like 90%. Probiotics. I actually took ivermectin too. So I got it in Peru for COVID reasons. I wanted to take it. I just added it to the list of things. But like two weeks after taking it, all those things in conjunction with a healthy smoothie in the morning, etc., I started feeling good again. I started feeling like 90%. Mind you, for like the 2 years, I was running at like 50, 60% for a long time, maybe less some of those days. Like I was just irritable, miserable, etc. So I ended up I was working again, doing plenty of job like work. I work for myself, so I was doing a lot of jobs, and I got lazy. I started eating at pizza shops. I started eating, I ate salads and stuff. I thought I was eating healthy, but don't eat salads. Salads are the worst things you can eat from a pizza shop because all that stuff has been sitting out and it gets the worst bacteria on it, and then you're putting it right in your stomach. I found that out later. I started drinking Monster drinks, those sugar-free Monster drinks. I'm like, oh, I can do whatever I want now. I'm feeling good. Then I started to notice my insides. I did that for probably a month or so, like that, because I was good for about a solid month, and then I started eating poorly, and then a month after eating poorly, like occasionally KFC, and then I was adding gluten back and all these other things, and I started noticing my stomach was bubbling, and then I started having reflux. Then I started having anxiety, these impending doom feelings, and then I called my gastro again. I'm like, hey, something's going on again. Fix this here. So I'm like, something's going on again. He's like, oh, come on in. We'll check. Maybe just check. Make sure you don't get H. pylori. So they do an endoscopy, and then they find out that he does a biopsy, and he finds that I have a decent amount of gastritis, and I have H. pylori again 6 months ago. So I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I had already done triple therapy, all this nightmare of stuff. So quite frankly, I might have had it for that entire time, because I did do a breath test, and it came back negative, but it could have been a false negative because the doctors never told me to honestly to not take probiotics, or to not take probiotics in the first place with the antibiotics, which would have helped me recover better. And they also didn't tell me when I took the breath test that I wasn't supposed to be off omeprazole or off PPIs, or any of that stuff. So I could have put out a false negative. So that was about, I don't know, 5 months ago now, because that was June. So that's 5 months ago is when I did the endoscopy. Then he set me up with a quad therapy, which is Pylori, and I think it's 10 days. It's like bismuth, and actually I'm not even. It's you'll have to look up Pylori. I'm not going to try and pretend like I remember what it is. But I took that for 10 days, and then I took omeprazole after that, in 20 milligrams twice a day, and that's what I was supposed to do, is to get rid of it. So I did that, and when my reflux system, or my stomach issues and my reflux stuff came back, that's the correlation I was going to make. When my symptoms of like gastritis and reflux and the H. pylori stuff came back like 6 months ago, I ended up having all my sleep problems went away, or came back too, because for those 2 months that I was good, after taking the probiotics and all that stuff, I wasn't waking up gasping. I was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym, do normal things, and be just normal again, and it felt good. I go out, had energy to do things. I wasn't worried about any of that stuff. So that's how I knew there was a correlation with H. pylori with my sleep issue. So when one of my reflux stuff came back and all that crap came back, and when I tested positive, my sleep problems came back. Now, when the doctor gave me the quad therapy, my sleep issues got worse. My sleep issues continued, and then I started taking omeprazole. Then they slowly went away, and then they came back, and now they're all the way back now. I have to wear that CPAP. It helps a little bit, but I'm still fatigued and tired throughout the day, most days, like real low energy. It's been 4 months now since I've taken the Pylori. I apologize. It's tiring. Whatever's going on with me is tiring. This fatigue or whatever. I actually had a doctor's appointment today, and he said, "Oh, maybe CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe." I mean, but so that's pretty much it. I'm 4 months out. I spent a lot of time playing Call of Duty. Thankfully, Warzone 2 came out, so I mean, I was able to burn some time doing that, and I've been working with a friend of mine. We got a small group of people, that are having similar symptoms that we met online. Honestly, like I was saying before, Reddit, Facebook, those forums are extremely helpful. Don't get caught in the rabbit hole. Don't get caught in the anxious loop process. A lot of people, myself included, I'm probably at the top of that list, overstressed myself with thinking about what could be or what it is or what it might be. I know that I've caused myself physical damage with that alone, aside from H. pylori. So my recommendation is look objectively. Don't over stress about it. Don't overthink about it. You're going to anyway, but just know what I'm saying right now. Keep that in the back of your mind as you're trying to research and get yourself help, because you can only be the biggest advocate for yourself. And you know your body better than any doctors out there. Doctors go to school for 8 years. You've been in your body for X amount of years. Me, I'm 37, so I've known my body for 37 years. Granted, I'm very grateful for all the doctors, but if I left my life in their hands, they clock out at 3 o'clock. I mean, I'm living in my body all day, 24 hours a day, and that's just my recommendation for you guys. If you want to know the supplements I have, I'll try to put something together. I did do a stool test. That is something I recommend everyone do if you're in that situation. I use a company called Genova. My personal one, I got about a month after I finished antibiotics, and it said I had dysbiosis, a level 10 being the worst. And I had a level 6 for infection. Then it gave me a list. It lists all of your bacteria, your good stuff, your bad stuff. Your local naturopath can set you up with one. You can use, you might be able to do one without them, but it's better to get one so they can interpret it for you. But it gets pricey. It gets real pricey. I'm into this for, I think by the end of it, I'll be in for $5,000. Between, because I'm in the middle of a detox right now too. I'm doing a naturopath detox, which is really good stuff in it. But for, like I said, $5,000, it's not cheap. I mean, what's your health worth? It's worth trying. That I do know. But the idea of this video is to help you and to help myself. If there's somebody out there dealing with some similar stuff. I've been dealing with this now going on 3 years. It's hard. It's hard some days, or a lot of days. It messes with a lot of your personal life. It's unbelievable. And the energy, the brain fog, fatigue. I'm for this time since after antibiotics for the past 4 months. I'd be riding. 10 is really really happy and good. I've been riding at it about in happy, and your energy level, you know, I'd say I'm at like a 3 for everything. Just really low mood, um, and low energy, low cognition, um, just memory, everything. I have to repeat. I repeat myself all the time, constantly. But like I said, Warzone, Call of Duty saved me from overthinking too much. My daughter's been very helpful too, um, and it's I wouldn't have ever expected this. So if you just got diagnosed, um, me personally, I would do the natural. I would do the natural route if you just got diagnosed. I would try that first any day, because the like you hear in plenty of videos, the good bacteria and the bad bacteria get taken out with that antibiotic. Um, and that's really a crazy thing to be prescribing to people, as far as I'm concerned. But I did it. I did it twice, and I don't know how I feel about any of it. That's going to be a personal opinion for you, and personal choice for you to make. So I wish you the best on that. Mastic gum is good for that. What else? I think that's it. I know my video bounces, that everything bounces around a lot, and I'm all over the place. But shit, that's what happens with H. pylori. You're left with this. So if there's anything I can help you with, I'll try to comment on it. This is literally my first YouTube video ever, so I'll be trying to comment and keep in touch with any answers and stuff. I'm sure you'll probably be asking about a video about supplements and stuff like that. But take care of yourself.